The most photographed place in South America is also one of the most lethal. And the people who die there are not, for the most part, killed by the mountain. They're killed by the picture they came to take. Oliver Park, 51 years old, German, on a vacation he had been planning for 2 years, July 2016. He stepped over a safety barrier at Machu Picchu to pose for a jumping photograph, arms out, body airborne, the citadel of the Incas behind him. He had asked another tourist to take the picture. He lost his footing on the takeoff. He fell more than 130 feet into a rock-strewn ravine. Rescuers reached his body 90 minutes later. He was already dead. Park is the named anchor of a story that does not have just one anchor. He is part of a category. Hi, I'm Nate from The Final Trip, and today I want to talk about a kind of death that almost didn't exist 20 years ago, that now happens regularly at the most visited archaeological site in South America, and that the Peruvian government has been quietly warned about for nearly a decade by its own park administrator. The category is photo death. Not falls in bad weather, not heart attacks at altitude, though those happen too, and we'll get to them. The specific category, tourists who travel to Machu Picchu for the photograph of a lifetime and who die taking it. This is also a video about something the brief I read for this story asked me to address honestly, so I will. The famous Stairs of Death, the 600-year-old Inca staircase cut into the granite face of Huayna Picchu that has been featured in every travel article about Peru for the last 40 years, does not, according to Peruvian tourism authorities, have a single recorded death directly on the staircase itself. The stairs got the name. The mountain does the killing. That distinction matters, and I'm going to honor it for the next 13 minutes. Because the real story is not the staircase. The real story is the system that puts $75 permits in the hands of 1 million tourists a year, with no medical screening, no fitness requirement, no guide mandate, and a brochure that warns about altitude in 3 lines of fine print at the bottom of the page. Stay with me. Let me set the scale, because the scale is the story. Machu Picchu, the citadel itself, perched at 7,970 feet above the Urubamba Valley in the Peruvian Andes, receives over 1 million visitors per year. The complex sits inside a national archaeological park run by the Peruvian Ministry of Culture. Inside that park, 2 peaks rise above the citadel, Huayna Picchu to the north and Machu Picchu Mountain to the south. Of the two, Huayna Picchu is the iconic one, the steep green spire that appears in every postcard, behind every selfie, on every tour brochure on Earth. Climbing Huayna Picchu requires a separate permit. The Peruvian Park Authority caps the number at 400 per day. Tickets sell out months in advance. The climb itself is 2,000 stone steps cut into the mountainside, ascending roughly 2,000 vertical feet in less than a mile. Sections of the trail tilt at 60 degrees. Cables have been added along the most exposed sections, but the steps themselves are 600 years old, eroded by weather and millions of boot falls, and slick with moisture even on dry days. Anyone with $75 and an internet connection can buy a permit. There is no health screening, there is no fitness check, there is no requirement to hire a guide. The only barrier between a tourist and that mountain is the credit card transaction. I want you to hold on to that as we walk through what has happened in chronological order to the people who have used those credit cards. 1997. A 68-year-old American tourist fell to his death near the top of Huayna Picchu. The incident was covered by United Press International. Details beyond age, nationality, and location are sparse in the public record. He was the first widely reported foreign tourist fatality on the mountain. October 20th, 2004. A 35-year-old Russian tourist was struck by lightning on the summit of Huayna Picchu. Eyewitnesses reported simultaneous bolts hitting his position. The summit of Huayna Picchu is exposed bare rock at 8,835 feet, the kind of terrain that becomes a lightning rod when storm cells move through the Andes. There is no shelter at the top. The hike up takes between 1 and 2 hours. By the time tourists reach the summit, it is too late to outrun a fast-moving storm system. The Russian tourist was the first documented lightning fatality on the mountain. He has not been the last. 2013. 2 American deaths in the broader Machu Picchu complex, both, importantly, not on Huayna Picchu itself. Rachel Cecilia Ianni, 26 years old, fell into a ravine on the Inca Trail near the Sun Gate. A separate American hiker died in another ravine, fall near the Citadel. The brief I am working from specifically asks me to make this distinction because international media routinely conflate the Inca Trail, the Sun Gate, the Citadel itself, Huayna Picchu, and Machu Picchu Mountain into one location. They are not one location. They are 5 different places with 5 different risk profiles, and the conflation has obscured an honest accounting of which trails are actually killing tourists. 2014. A Belgian tourist died in the Machu Picchu complex. Details are sparse. The case is documented in the broader Inca Trail death registry, but specifics did not make international press. July 1st, 2016, Oliver Park. I told you about Oliver in the first paragraph. I want to come back to him now because his case is the cleanest single illustration of the pattern this video is about. Park was 51 years old. He was at the Citadel of Machu Picchu, not climbing Huayna Picchu, not on the stairs of death, but on the established tourist viewing area inside the main complex. He wanted a specific photograph, a jumping shot, arms out midair, with the famous Citadel terraces behind him. The angle he wanted required him to be on the other side of a safety barrier, the barrier the Peruvian Park Authority had placed there specifically to keep tourists away from a sheer drop into a ravine. He stepped over the barrier. He ignored, and this is in the official Peruvian report, multiple posted warning signs. He asked another tourist to take the photograph. He jumped. He landed wrong on the takeoff. He went over the edge. He fell more than 130 feet. Some sources put the fall at over 300. The rescue team reached his body 90 minutes later. He was found dead. He had a family in Germany. The Washington Post reported the death the next day. Newsweek, UPI, Time, the BBC, and dozens of other outlets followed. The Peruvian Park Authority issued a statement reminding visitors that safety barriers exist for a reason. No new policies were implemented. March 4th, 2022. Dr. Sajjad Haider. I want you to know about Dr. Haider because his case is the one that finally produced an on-the-record warning from the Peruvian park itself, a warning that has, 6 years later, not become enforceable policy. Sajjad Haider was a 50-year-old American physician. He was hiking Huayna Picchu on the morning of March 4th, 2022, when he collapsed on the trail. Park security guards and Peruvian National Police mobilized within minutes. He was carried out on a stretcher. Health professionals at a clinic in the village of Aguas Calientes administered emergency care. They could not revive him. His cause of death, per the Peruvian medical examiner, was a cardiac event triggered by altitude and exertion. A coworker of Dr. Haider's contacted reporters afterward to make sure his name and credentials were spelled correctly in obituaries. He had a family, he had patients, he had been on the trip of a lifetime. After Dr. Haider's death, Dr. Donato Amado, the head of the National Archaeological Park of Machu Picchu, a real named currently serving Peruvian government official, went on the record. His exact public words, quoted in international press: "All tourists who wish to go to the upper parts of the Machu Picchu Archaeological Park must first consult their doctor and undergo a health check." Read that sentence carefully. He used the word must. It is not policy. It is not enforced. You can still, today, buy a Huayna Picchu permit online with no medical screening, no fitness assessment, no documentation requirement of any kind. The brochure mentions altitude. It does not mention that the head of the archaeological park has been publicly stating since 2022 that tourists must consult their doctor before climbing. That recommendation has not been written into the ticketing platform. It has not been written into the entry process at the trailhead. It has not been written into anything that a tourist actually encounters between booking the flight and standing at the foot of 2,000 stone steps. Dr. Amato said, "Must." The system heard suggested. Now, the accountability beat. Here is what is true about the deaths I have just described. The 2016 case, Oliver Park, was preventable by Park himself. He stepped over a clearly marked barrier and ignored multiple warning signs. The verdict on his individual decision is straightforward. But Park is not the case I want you to leave this video angry about, because Park's death was a single tourist's decision made in seconds on a vacation. The system did its job in his case. It placed the barrier, it posted the signs, he chose to bypass them. The 2004 lightning death is harder to assign to anyone. Storm cells in the Andes move quickly. The summit has no shelter. The lightning fatality is the kind of incident that an exclusion zone protocol could prevent, close the summit when storms are within a certain radius, but no such protocol exists. Tourists climb in any weather their permit covers. The 2022 Haider death is the case that should have changed the system. Dr. Haider was not arrogant. He was a physician on vacation. He bought a legitimate ticket through the official channel. He climbed within the permitted parameters. He did not step over a barrier or ignore a sign. His underlying cardiac risk was the kind of thing a 5-minute medical screening at the time of ticket purchase would have flagged. The kind of screening that ski resorts, dive operators, and skydiving schools all require as a matter of basic insurance liability. The Peruvian Park Authority does not require it. Dr. Amato has been asking, on the record, for the authority to require it. 3 years later, nothing. So here's the question I want to leave you with, and it has the same shape as the question I asked at the end of the Wakaari video, because these stories have the same shape. 1 million tourists per year visit Machu Picchu. Approximately 140,000 of them climb Huayna Picchu under the daily 400 permit cap. Some percentage of them every year will die. Some of those deaths will be like Oliver Park's, preventable by the tourist's own better judgment. Some will be like the 2004 lightning case, bad luck inside a system that did not protect them. And some will be like Dr. Sajjad Haider's, entirely preventable by a screening process that the head of the park has been publicly requesting for years, and that the Peruvian government has not implemented. The ticket platform sold the permit. The park authority operates the trail. The Ministry of Culture oversees the park. The head of the archaeological park has been begging on the record for change. Whose job is it to require the medical screening? Whose job is it to close the summit during electrical storms? Whose job is it, when the next tourist falls, and there will be a next tourist, to be the one who finally writes a 5-minute health questionnaire into the $75 online checkout? Each link in that chain assumes someone else is responsible. The platform assumes the park requires it. The park assumes the ministry mandates it. The ministry assumes the platform handles it. The brochure says, consult your doctor in 3 lines of fine print. The stairs of death have a name and a reputation, and they have to date no recorded deaths on the staircase itself. The mountain has plenty. The famous staircase is innocent. The system that sells permits to climb it is not. Oliver Park stepped over a barrier. That is on him. Dr. Sajjad Haider bought a legitimate ticket and trusted the system to have asked him the questions a 5-minute screening would have asked. The system did not. That is on the system. Dr. Donato Amato said, must. The system has not yet listened. I make this channel because I think the question of who is supposed to say no, or in this case, who is supposed to answer this question first, is the most important question in adventure tourism. It is a different question every time. Sometimes the answer is the tourist. Sometimes the answer is everyone in the chain and no one. Sometimes the answer is a single named official who has been on the record for years saying something his own government will not do. The next tourist will buy their permit tomorrow. The screening Dr. Amato asked for in 2022 will not be in the checkout flow. And somewhere in the next 12 months, statistically, someone will die on that mountain who should not have been allowed to climb it without being asked 1 or 2 questions first. The mountain does not negotiate, the system does, and the system, so far, has chosen not to. Thanks for watching The Final Trip. If this one stayed with you, hit subscribe. There are always more.